Here we go. So welcome to episode 4 of A Day in the Life. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to give you updates on what I've been doing in the game because we've completed some stuff and we're on our way to complete some other stuff. But I also want to have a chat to you guys about a very hot topic in the community as I do this, which is, do you need to spend money on the game? People are saying no money spent is more difficult than ever. And it's an interesting situation because for me right now, this is the first time really, to some extent, I'm going no money spent. Now, not entirely because I have bought the Hall of Fame pass, but if I'm honest, even with that, I probably just needed to buy the Pro Pass to have access to everything I wanted. The reason I bought the Hall of Fame pass is just as a content creator, it's just good to have access to all the content. But really, I didn't need to buy it. But that's where I am right now. All I've spent so far is at $20 on the Hall of Fame pass. Now, I think it's important to separate two things here. Do you want to spend money or do you need to spend money? And I think the answers to those two questions can often be different. Like right now, they've dropped an Amethyst Devon Booker, and that's the card I really want to cook with in this game. But right now, I can get him without spending any more money. I've got the VC from my pre-order, so I could just drop that right now on that Devon Booker and chuck him into my squad. But even with a specific card, and maybe the specific card that I would have really wanted, I'm still fighting that urge to pick up that card for one very big reason. I really don't feel like I need to. I want that card, sure. I'll have more fun with that card, sure. And if that's your argument, fine, that makes sense. That's absolutely true. But do I need that card? No. You guys know I'm not comp at this game. I'm somewhere between, you know, a casual and good. I just play for fun, really. I've never locked in and tried to learn the game to that level where I could play competitively in any way, shape or form. My goal always on the game is just to have as much fun as I possibly can and do the things that I enjoy. But like last year, where, you know, the trophy case kind of consumed the first few months of me playing this game, I am on the grind for Brandon Roy right now, and I will get him. And I think this is the important thing. Am I going to be held back by not spending money? And I really, really believe that the answer is no. As you guys know, we got our first unlimited ring this weekend, and we did it against the odds. You know, we got basically three error code losses in a row. We then went and won 4 games in a row. I've got a video on this if you want to go check it out. But we did it running emeralds and, you know, sapphires, Steph and hard and cards like that. And my squad hasn't really improved that much. I'm still just adding emeralds to my team, really. I added Matt Barnes to the squad yesterday. I picked up Al Harrington. Really cheap players, but they're getting the job done for me. And I have lost a couple of games because, you know, sometimes my opponent's squad is just way too overpowered. But there's so few consequences to the mode this year that if you do lose a game or two, it doesn't really matter. You still get a ton of MT and you still get a ton of progression in modes like Unlimited and Salary Cap. So we've got Unlimited done, and, you know, this week I kind of set my goal of getting Salary Cap done as well. We came out really strong, you know, even with this kind of budget squad. We won 4 or 5 games in a row really early on. Even though my opponents all had better squads than me and they'd all clearly been spending money, I was the one that was coming out with the victories because I knew my players. I think the game just allows for budget cards to cook a little bit more. And the thing is, these cards are just actually really good, you know. Steph, to me, is still probably the best point guard in the game. For me, in the way I played this game, he is the best point guard in the game. So I'm not sitting here with the kind of FOMO that I need Damian Lillard, but I have, like I said, I don't want to lie. I had also a really bad run where I lost like 3 or 4 games in a row. Each of those games I lost by 1 bucket, I think. I think every game went down to the last point, and it's unavoidable to say that in each of those instances, my opponent's squad was better, and chances are, if I had a couple of better players, I probably would have won those games as well. But the truth is, I just don't care. I got a ton of progression having lost those games. I still had fun having lost those games. And in the games that I win, I have like a bigger sense of pride because I went out there with a team that probably shouldn't have won that game on paper, but did anyway. So it's giving me a sense of achievement. And that stuff's going to carry through into the bigger achievements in the game. Like when I get Brandon Roy, which I will, and I'm not really going to invest much more heavily in my team over the next, you know, 3 to 4 weeks, but I will come out with Brandon Roy. And when I do, I think I'll feel a way bigger sense of achievement about that than someone who's just bought a God squad. And this is where this whole video really comes down to. I've spent a lot of money on the game over the years, way more than I'm comfortable spending, to be honest. Looking back at some of the transactions, I kind of wonder what I was doing. Like, why was I constantly incrementally increasing my squad, feeling like I always needed to have the best squad in the game? I was never playing at a high level. I was never trying to qualify for 250. I just don't know why I ever needed those cards. And it's been so unavoidable to know that the people who really don't spend money on this game tend to have the most fun on the game. And that's not a coincidence. There's a reason for that. As soon as you start spending money, you feel like you need to justify that spend. If I went out there with a God squad and say I'd still lost those 3 games, games, but I'd spent $200. That's when the frustration would have kicked in. Do you know what I mean? Like, the more you spend on the game, the more you expect back from it. So the simplest way to keep your expectations at a realistic level is not continue to spend a ton of money. And as I said, guys, you just don't need to. We finally finished salary cap, and then I jumped into TTO to try and get to that 50 wins, and we were just on a tear, guys. Like, I think we lost one game in maybe 10. I was running that pre-order Kobe, the Giannis from the Hoff pass, which I guess technically is a paid card, but I could have switched him out with Nate Thurman. It probably wouldn't have made any difference. But my offense was really being carried through Steph. I continuously ran into, 3 amethysts and, even diamonds. People had picked up Kyrie already. But I was winning those games because I was more comfortable. And I think in a lot of ways, I was just under less pressure to win those games. When games like that are close, the guy who spent money is going to start to really feel some of the decisions that they've made. I'm not. I'm just feeling really excited about the thought that I might beat this squad with a budget team, with a really underpowered team. But it's that feeling that the skill level will bring me through. And it's the same with Kyrie. Obviously, people have paid their way to Kyrie, which is fine. I'm not judging. I'm not pocket watching, by the way. I'm not telling anyone not to spend money. If you've got disposable income and you get enjoyment from spending money in the game, then go ahead. But the question we're answering isn't, do you want to spend money? Is, do you need to spend money? And honestly, the answer to that question is no. And I'm going to take it a step further. I actually think you're going to have a way better experience if you don't spend money. When I get to that Kyrie, there's going to be a sense of achievement that comes with that. That if you then pay for that Kyrie up front, you just don't get. You're taking that away from yourself. I feel like if you're just going to throw a bunch of money and just have the best team all the time, there's only a couple of outcomes that are really going to come from that. You're going to be more frustrated when you lose games because skill's still going to matter at the end of the day. And the game difficulty isn't high. So even with a really good squad, a couple of bad animations go against you and you could lose a game just through sheer bad luck. It does happen in this game quite a lot. But also, where does your sense of achievement come after that? Like, once you've got that squad and you've taken the shortcuts to get there, you've thrown your wallet at it, what are you then using that squad for? There's no competitive tournaments this year. The only thing you'd really be using that squad for is to get your championship ring at the weekend, which I've already done, to help you get to Brandon Roy, which I'm doing anyway, to maybe get to Kyrie a bit quicker, but I don't feel like that's taking a huge amount of time the way I'm playing. So I feel like this year there just isn't a huge upside to spending a ton of money. I've got a ton of MT stored as well. I'm on 175k. That's a lot of MT, and I've been picking up sort of cards as I go. It's not like I haven't been spending my MT. I haven't bought anything crazy, but I want to save my MT because if there is a game-breaking card, which I don't feel like we've had yet, that comes along, I just want to make sure I've got the MT there to pick that up if it really does become like a do-or-die card. You know what I mean? A must-have card. If it becomes a card that breaks the game, that breaks the skill gap, that takes everything away, I'm just going to make sure I've got that MT ready for that card. But the incremental cards along the way, that minor power creep along the way, it's just not something I'm interested in this year. Now, this could all change down the line. It could. I feel very confident at getting Brandon Roy with the strategy that I've got right now. And if you want to adopt it, have that confidence, you can go and do it. If you have losing records, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy the wins that you get, especially if your squad is underpowered. That's something you can take a lot of pride in. You're going to have way more pride winning with that squad than your opponent's going to have winning with a god squad. So just take that. That's the big win in all of this. But things could change down the line. We could get to a point where that power creep is really aggressive. But like I said, if you're smart with your MT, you should be able to keep up with it. I've got a couple of things on my mind right now. I kind of feel like a Diamond Steph is probably around the corner. I want to make sure I've got the MT to pick that up because it's going to be a really fun card to use. But also that center, right? We know Shaq is coming with the legendary path lock-in, but I also know, because I've known 2K for a long time, that there will be another center that drops in the pack market shortly after that. I want to make sure I've got the MT. Whoever it is, Hakeem, Kareem, it will be someone. Shortly after Shaq drops, you know we're getting another center. And I'll have the MT ready. But right now, guys, I've got the unlimited ring. Salary cap is done. We're halfway to TTO with a really good win ratio. And I feel under no pressure or any need to spend any money right now. This is a really good spot we're in. Hopefully we can keep this up for the rest of the year. It could go either way. I understand that, guys. I'm not sitting here saying, as gospel, it's just going to be this way for the rest of the year. But I also think animations are really important. There's going to be cards you're just going to be better with this year. And they might not always be the most expensive cards in the game. But there it is, guys. We've made a ton of good progress. I'm still really enjoying the game at the moment. I've had ups, I've had downs, but we're getting to where we need to get to. And we're doing it without spending any money. Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to know if you're spending money, if you're not. Are you more likely to spend money this year? Or do you think the amount of money you spend will drop as the year goes on? Let me know how you're approaching the game. But there it is, guys. That's the whole video. Like, subscribe, peace.